She is at it again. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass continues to push the boundaries to see what she can get away with doing that directly conflicts with President Donald Trump's agenda for immigration policy and immigration reform here in America. Just 3 days ago, LA Mayor Karen Bass signed an executive directive directly defying President Donald Trump's efforts to deport illegal immigrants out of California. After witnessing the ICE raids go down in certain cities of California, Mayor Bass has decided to take action to fight this. And you're never going to guess what this executive directive allows her to do now as the mayor of Los Angeles. It's actually sickening. Take a listen to what she had to say just moments before signing the executive directive.
So the executive directive that I will be signing in a few minutes is to help the city family, to help the city workforce, to help the city departments and all of the general managers essentially develop preparedness plans that have specific protocols and that help city workers know how to address immigration officials should they approach a city department. How we abide by the law, but we understand what our rights are as city employees, how we can provide protection for immigrants who might be attending a city event or at a city property.
Now, I just want to point out her careful choosing of words throughout all of this, because she's clearly done some legal research on all of this so that she doesn't misspeak and say the wrong things to where she could be in serious trouble. She wants to develop some preparedness for the federal government's use of ICE, basically, is what's going on here. And she's chosen all of her words very carefully, but all she's essentially saying is, I don't like what Trump is doing with his immigration policy and with ICE agents, and I don't like how he's coming into my state just because I refuse to round up illegal immigrants and deport them out of this nation. So now I'm going to do everything I can to defy that. That's essentially what's going on here. Now take a listen. This is the moment she officially signed this executive directive. And I'm going to go over right afterwards what's in that executive directive and how it's absolutely despicable. What is in that executive directive? Let's take a look. So this is it right here. It's a simple, very simple 3 pages. And I want to point out what's most important written on these pages. Last month, ICE initiated large-scale immigration enforcement operations across Los Angeles. These operations have heightened fears, torn apart families, disrupted the immigrant community, and interfered with businesses and day-to-day life across the city. These enforcement actions have deterred city residents from attending school and church, seeking city services, accessing healthcare, and going to work. The city has a responsibility to ensure the safety of all residents, and city departments play a critical role in providing services to support residents and their needs. This is the most important part of what's in this executive directive that she signed. And I'm going to tell you why in just a minute. I want to show you this. Number 3 right here of what she directs all city departments to do. Under Executive Directive 20, Garcetti, March 21st, 2017, each general manager or head of department was required to designate an immigrant affairs liaison. The immigrant affairs liaison for each department is hereby directed to report any federal immigration enforcement activity on city properties or facilities. They really are trying their hardest to disrupt ICE. Number 4 right here, I'm going to expand on the most in just a second here. It reads, recommend services or programs that can support families impacted by federal immigrant enforcement actions. These recommendations should be informed by a thorough review of existing city services and programs and how they can be leveraged to increase the safety of Angelenos harmed by federal immigrant enforcement actions. You know, it's a whole lot of words, but it actually means a whole lot more than what you would think, and it's despicable when you find out what this entails. And before I explain what it entails, I want to point out why this executive directive is being signed in the first place. Because Trump's work when it comes to immigration reform and policy, everything that he's doing, everything that he's allowing Tom Homan to do with ICE, these ICE raids, and Alligator, Alcatraz, all of it defies what the liberal agenda has been over the last 5 years. They want America flooded with immigrants, illegal or otherwise, and they want them to come in to receive a bunch of free stuff and help from the Democrats so that they can sway new voters into voting Democrat. And why is this? It's because they know that they've lost their American voter base. The Democrat Party is so out of touch with their naturalized American citizen voter base that they won't be able to win elections without this. That's why they're panicking. And so what's happening right now is as all these illegal immigrants are being deported out of our country, the Democrats are losing their minds because they're watching this happen. And in their eyes, they're watching future voters for them being forced to leave. So they're trying everything they can to stop this from happening. And this article points this out even more so because the Trump administration did something very clever. They have offered incentives to illegal immigrants who are currently in our country to self-deport. They're paying them to self-deport, and people are taking up this offer, and this has them panicking even more. This article right here, more immigrants opt to self-deport rather than risk being marched out like criminals. This is from the Los Angeles Times. So it's happening in Karen Bass's own city. People are self-deporting at record highs, and they're freaking out about it. So how does Karen Bass counter this? I'll show you. This is Mayor Karen Bass answering a question on just what the assistance funding and programs will do for these illegal immigrants who are currently living in her city.
There in our family resource centers, but we also are going to have a reinstitution of the Angelino card, something that Mayor Garcetti started during COVID that will actually provide cash assistance to people. Because, you have people who don't want to leave their homes, who are not going to work, and they are in need of cash.
You heard her right. Cash assistance for people who are afraid to leave their homes and are afraid to go to work. So in a nutshell, Mayor Karen Bass, watching all of these illegal immigrants be rounded up by ICE and deported out of America, out of her state, and watching other ones opt to self-deport rather than be marched out like criminals, she's now decided to offer a cash incentive of her own, straight from government funding. If you're afraid now to leave your home, if you're afraid now to go to work because you're not in this country legally, and you're worried that the second you step out your door, ICE will be waiting for you, don't worry about it. We'll cover you. We'll start sending you weekly cash allotments to make up for the missed work that you have from the stress of being afraid to go in and the possibility of being deported as a result. At this point, where is the Trump Department of Justice? What are they doing? Because at the end of the day, the bottom line is the Democrats keep pushing this. CNN reporting on that app, AOC blatantly tweeting about how illegal immigrants can avoid ICE by doing this and that and everything else and reminding them of their supposed legal rights. And now Mayor Karen Bass offering straight up cash for illegal immigrants to not self-deport, to not leave California, and to just stay inside and collect government assistance rather than risk going outside and being exposed to deportations and ICE raids. And the reason why they're so comfortable doing this is because there are no consequences for their actions. Not any severe ones anyway. Because the worst thing that could possibly happen to her is just another scolding from Pam Bondi on television or from President Donald Trump tweeting about it. They need to buckle down on this. This is Mayor Karen Bass wrapping all of this up. This is what she had to say.
To reemphasize the strategy. This is about provoking fear and terror in our city. This is about demonstrating to Los Angeles that we're the federal government and we can come in and do whatever we want, whenever we want, wherever we want. And it starts with the seizure of power from our governor in terms of the National Guard, and then the ridiculous display of force that you saw in MacArthur Park.
The whole reason why it's been taken to this extreme by President Donald Trump is because Governor Newsom has done very little to combat the problem within his own state. And Mayor Karen Bass is a prime example of a mayor who's going right along with Governor Newsom's plan to do absolutely nothing. This is liberal policies in action. And California, for the longest time in America, has been the test state by liberals. They push the most liberal policies on California, and they take it to the most extreme always in that state to see just what they can get away with. And that's what's going on right now. They're pushing back against President Donald Trump, against what the American people voted for, and they're seeing how far they can take this. At this point, offering straight up cash to illegal immigrants who are afraid to go to work. in order to get them to not self-deport? When will it end, and what will the Trump administration finally start doing about these out-of-control Democrats? Let me know what you think. Subscribe to American Advocates for more content like this. Give this video a like if you're for deporting every single illegal immigrant out of this country. Dislike this video, however, if you're hoping that the cash incentive for illegal immigrants to not self-deport exceeds $1,000 a week. Thanks for watching.